Hello everyone, welcome back to Midnight Inc. once again. I'm Debunk, and I'm joined with Elephants tonight to go over the support meta. This will be a brief overview on how we like to run support meta, as well as champions who are almost always in the meta for support comp. I will briefly go over strengths and weaknesses of champions we know of and how to path correctly to make it work. Once again, I'd like to thank our high elo friends from multiple regions to help make this video with the best information that we could. And a specific special shout out to God Tier Galio once again from across the pond. So, what is support meta and why is it better? Support meta removes the top laner and has a support follow around the carry and just get the carry completely farmed. Basically, the carry will get double to triple the gold that a normal jungler would, and would have a support to boot. You can get an idea of pathing from the games I play in the background, and without further ado, I'll go over champions you can play as carry, as well as the best support choices to go with it. Yasuo is our first pick, and our number one pick, and an absolute monster in 3v3 as carry. Getting a Yasuo, a Phantom Dancer, and Infinity Edge right around the time the other champions are finishing one item will completely end the game. Kayle is another fantastic pick due to the amount of dive you will play against usually. Her ult gives you a chance to completely negate enemies' burst, and rushing her into items very fast makes her just shred teams. Xayah is likely the best ADC you can play with support meta. Her damage with 2 items, along with the ability to root the enemy teams, devastating. The skinny lanes make roots super easy to land, and she's super hard to reach once she has her ult to negate complete abilities. Kai'Sa is a nice new addition to the tree line and surprised us quite a bit. She has good jungle clear, nice damage in fights, and scales really well into mid game and can be built many different ways. Darius is a monster in 3v3, making him a hilarious pick for carry. He plays well into most melee, making him a nice pick to counter squishier melee champions. He can be countered by ranged, though. Kog'Maw is squishy, but can dish out insane damage with a couple of items. He pairs really well with Braum or Tom Kench, and if you can keep him alive for a few seconds in fights, he'll evaporate the enemy team. Alawi is a nice carry pick and is honestly quite fun. Certain champions the enemy can pick will be unable to enter fights if you pick Alawi, so pick her into champions who are going to go into fights without much escape, and you'll absolutely destroy them, like Wukong, Maokai, Yasuo. Get her 2 items ahead of other champions, and she will be nearly unkillable if played well. It is awesome that Mordekaiser is in the meta almost continuously on the tree line. He is amazing for scaling, and if he's played well, can be picked into anything. Ranged, tanks, bruisers. Not much can break him down on the tree line, and he works really well with engaged champions for support like Leona and Poppy. Graves, if played well, is an incredible pick. If you can skirt around the edge of fights and know Graves really well, he's an amazing pick and has great damage. Jax is one of the champions you could exclusively play if you're skilled with him. He has built-in CC and that damage mitigation with crazy damage output and nice scaling to go with it. I usually like to build like Tiamat to Triforce into Titanic Hydra and just be a complete menace to deal with. Xin Zhao is a great pick for absolutely demolishing squishy targets. 2 items on a Xin into an ADC will absolutely explode them in fights. He's a nice pick to have in your pocket for when your opponent picks the wrong champion. He actually goes pretty well into Yasuo also. Olaf is an absolute beast in 3v3. Get him 2 items up, playing into any champs that rely on hard CC, and watch him blast your backline. Also, watching Olaf run through a Vigor's baby cage and 2-shot him is the most hilarious thing in the game to me. Master Yi is an amazing pick if you're good on him. Dodging enemy abilities with your Q and your sheer damage output on him mid-game makes him a hilarious pick and honestly pretty fun. Side note, we played him quite a bit. If we got Taric, and the all combo with Taric and Yi would turn games around that we were completely losing. Even if we're behind like 15 kills, we could 2v3 at any point in the game. These are some alternative ideas of champions where if you are highly skilled with them, you can absolutely carry with them. If you main a Riven and you want to bring that to Twisted Treeline, please do. So the ones I have listed are Riven, Fiora, Camille, Trundle, Aurelia, and Kayn. Most champions work in here, and there are tons of combinations you can play around with. Most ADCs are good into certain champs and can be played as carry as well. If you love Jinx or Tristana, with the right comp, you can make it work. And we've played quite a bit of Caitlyn with success as well. And now, to talk to you about support, elephants.
And now to talk to you about support elephants. Pretty weak, honestly.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, elephants here to talk to you about support.
Well, we got 4 tiers. We got the God tier. There's only one champion in that tier. You guys know who it is. It's Taric. Taric is the God. Pick Taric or ban Taric. 100%. Tier 2, who we got? Galio, Sigwani, Leona, Braum, and Poppy. We got Tier 3, Maokai, Tom Kench, Nunu, Nautilus. All of those strong, but there's better. T4, we got personal preference picks. If you are super good at these two champions, you are going to have a great time in 3. And that is Zach and Gragas. So let's talk about the individual champions. Taric is hands down the best support to take with you in 3s. I am pretty sure that it is over 80% win rate on Taric with two terrible players like me and Debunk, and we just don't lose when we pick Taric. Your goal, as I see it with Taric, is to get level 6 as soon as possible. You're going to have to spend some time solo in the lane, soaking and last hitting. You want to be doing this as safe as possible, but you need to be in top lane away from your carry for a short period of time so you can get to level 6. When we do Taric and, say, Yasuo, we do a jungle rotation, we push the wave out as far as possible, crash their tower, go back, and I usually just throw a stun on walls and then go back to the lane and try and soak so I can get level 6 all that much faster. One thing I would mention is you have to be wary as a support of charging down the lane to get a stun, watch the second brush in top lane, because a lot of times the enemy jungle will sit there and expect you guys to rush down, and if you're low at all, you could possibly lose early. You're going to reach level 6 around 7 to 9 minutes. If you are past 9 minutes on reaching level 6, you have not been soaking enough XP in top lane, or you are getting your nuts kicked in pretty hard. You should be generally 2 levels behind your carry, and you should only be 1 level behind the enemy top laner. If you're 2 levels behind the enemy top laner, you are probably behind in the game, and you should not try and engage for a fight. If you're 1 level or even with the top laner, then you are probably good to try and get a fight, try and push harder. Now, once you get to level 6, if you're playing against jungle meta, you should be trying to either get a pick on the enemy jungle or push down top tower as quickly as possible. If you push down the first tower and get a long lane against top lane, that is going to do wonders to get your bot lane opened up. You can help your bot laner. You can do a 3-man ult dive bot lane. Opens up a lot of possibilities. Getting the first tower top, I think, is really good. And if you can do it, I would definitely go for it. Into tier 2, which is situational picks. These picks are not going to work in every single game. You're going to have to basically counter pick or hope that you don't get countered in picking when you play these champions. That's why if you're not playing Taric, you ban Taric because you put the enemy support, if they have one, in a terrible situation where if they can't counterpick, they can get pretty hard countered when picking these 5 champions. I've been playing a lot more Galio recently. He is quite fun to play if you pick him into the correct champions. His cross map ult is really fun to use. He has awesome chain CC, and he's just perfect against any melee comps. When we pick Galio, we are probably going to be playing Galio with a couple of champions. Galio and Camille is extremely fun to use. You cast Camille ult on one guy and Galio ult on top of Camille, and that is a dead guy. Almost 100%. The other one that's great, in my opinion, is Galio and Callista. She tosses you into the champions, and then you can taunt them all. That's pretty deadly, especially if you have a good Callista. Next up, we have Seguani. I haven't played a ton of Seguani, but I've been playing her a little bit more recently. She's a lot of fun to play, but she does take a little bit of practice, in my opinion. She has a ranged ult, good for zoning or picking people off. If the top laner doesn't respect you at level 3, you can pretty much guarantee a kill there. Definitely getting level 6 is a priority again on Seguani, just like on Taric. She has a massive spike in CC when you get her ultimate. Next up, we got Poppy. One of my favorite things about Poppy is her movement speed burst. They really overuse her W. A lot of people hold on to it to try and cancel out enemy champions' dashes, which is a great use. It's true use, right? But the movement speed makes you able to jump into bot lane extremely well on Poppy. You can be monitoring the jungle brush, quickly speed down to bot lane if your bot lane's in trouble. And they just buffed her stun damage against squishies. Stun and a Q does quite a bit of damage now. I'm going to say that Leona is similar to Taric in that you really want to get level 6 as soon as possible. Getting an extra CC is very important. You can get away with early jungle invades on Leona, as at level 3 you have more CC potential than most champions. We're into tier 3, that's great. We're almost done, guys. One person I'm going to briefly mention is Tom Kench. Really annoying support to play against. When the other team thinks they've landed a CC and they're about to get a kill, oh, look at that. The champion disappeared and they can't kill the guy. They think they're running away. They think they've gotten completely away from you. You appear in front of them. Amazing. Moving on, we got Maokai. Maokai excels at snares and has potential to be a great pick. Using your seeds to effectively ward is going to be key. Potentially strong versus a dive comp with a knockback to peel and slows for days. Taking Maokai with a squishy hyper melee is going to have mixed results. Take Nunu with a ranged hyper that you trust, because you are not going to do any hard CC and you are not going to do a lot of damage. But your ability to increase the attack speed and movement speed on the hyper carry is extremely good. It's a support that works extremely well with range. These next 3 picks are stuff that I would only take if you are extremely skilled at. It's not something I would personally play as a support champion. First up is Gragas. Gragas is a pick I won't talk that much about. He was mentioned by some high-level players. I can understand that zoning the other 2 champions out with your ultimate to take out a single target would be extremely good. He has high potential. It's not someone that I enjoy playing. Next one up is going to be Zach. I would say you're going to have a good time doing cross-map dives as Zach. It's natural at turning a 1v2 or 2v3 into equal numbers. It's not someone that I've played as support, but if you're good at Zach, I think picking him up is going to be quite fun. The last one up, we got Nautilus. I'm not allowed to play Nautilus because my hyper carry won't let me, but he's an extremely tanky target. He's got a lot of walls to hook to and threes. He's generally a good pick for support. And I would pick him up more often, I would say, if the other champions didn't exist. There's probably more support champions that can play, but I will quit rambling on and on and on about nothing, and I'll turn it back over to Debunk. We'll wrap up.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you guys for sticking around. I know this one was a long one. I want to thank God Tier Galio once again, and I will link his YouTube channel in the description for those of you who are interested in seeing some of his upcoming replays. We could have talked about support meta for a very long time, and we missed quite a bit here, for sure. If you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the comments. And if you want to see some more in-depth strategies for support meta, please check out Willie the Whale on YouTube, which I will also link in the description. I know it's odd to shout out another content creator, but we want to make sure you guys have the best possible information walking in. Check out Saturday's stream, and we'll catch you in the future, guys.